So tell me if you heard this before. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys still in the middle of a Texas-sized standoff. Cowboys approaching a dangerous territory after not signing him back in 2019. And despite getting injured, he was 2-3 as a starter. But after that, the Cowboys just went 6-10, so you expect the price has gone up this offseason. The team obviously prefers Prescott to stick around long term, but if the two sides can't strike an extension ahead of the 2021 season, a tag could be much in play again. So last season, he played on the exclusive franchise tag, $31.4 million. This offseason, that tag bumping up to $37.7 million. Let's just say it happens next offseason, third and final tag. Prescott could be raking in about $54.3 million. By the way, that tag deadline, March 9th, not too far away for the Cowboys and Prescott to put pen and paper. All right, let's welcome senior NFL writer Jason Lockett for more. There sitting at JLC. This has been going on for almost 3 years, a very long time to nail down your franchise quarterback. What's the latest you can tell us about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys situation moving forward here?
Well, he'll receive a second franchise tag when that window opens up, and the period to tag players begins a week from tomorrow, and as you said, runs through March the 9th. There's really no dispute. This has been in the cards since last July when they failed to reach an agreement on a long-term deal. At that point, it was obvious he was going to be tagged again. Their season fell apart, as you noted, when he got hurt. He will be tagged again. Now we're negotiating off of $38 million a year. We've seen Deshaun Watson come in, just under $40 million a year. The reality for Jerry Jones is Dak Prescott on a long-term deal is going to be making over $40 million a year. This is someone he could have had for around $33 million a year had they been able to get it done in the past, had Jerry Jones been willing to put in a clause in that contract saying we'll never use the franchise tag on you again. He wasn't willing to do that. Now he's cost himself about $8 million a year on a long-term deal. But Dak isn't going anywhere. They'll have until mid-July again this year to get a long-term deal done. I suspect this time around they do. But again, costing over $40 million more than it would have in its totality a year ago.
Meanwhile, in Atlanta, Matt Ryan's future may be coming to an end, not this season, but beyond that. He's set to be the starter in 2021. Ryan Wilson has the Falcons going after a QB, maybe trying to groom someone almost like an Aaron Rodgers we've seen in the past before. But looking at Ryan's future beyond that season, I believe he'll count above $41 million towards his salary cap. What do you see with Ryan in his future in the ATL there?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that they're at a fork in the road there, and they finally moved on from their coach and their general manager. Ownership, Arthur Blank, has expressed a willingness to be more flexible about the quarterback position than he has at any point since they took Matt Ryan in the first round, quite some time ago. So, yeah, they're still working through that contract. Remember, he just got a massive extension a couple of years ago. So no one's coming to trade for Matt Ryan. They're essentially stuck with Matt Ryan for another year, but they are certainly thinking about their future at that position in a way that they haven't since they drafted Matt Ryan. Very likely could involve a first-round selection in the draft this year. That would not be a surprise. Any quarterback that's taken other than Trevor Lawrence probably needs to redshirt at least for a year, in some cases, maybe longer. So that would be fitting. Young GM, new regime. They need to mine the fort in the present, but really start thinking about long-term assets. Matt Ryan at this stage of his career, with the money he makes, is not a long-term asset for the Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons coming off 3 straight losing seasons and haven't done much since that Super Bowl run a few years ago. Meanwhile, if you're in the market for a left tackle, Ravens' Orlando Brown Jr. says he wants out of Baltimore, tweeting a few days ago, "I'm a left tackle, didn't play that last year." Is there a market out there for him if you're looking for a guy like that?
There is. As I first reported last week, his agent's been granted permission to seek a trade. The Ravens aren't going to give him away. They're going to want what they deem to be value for him, but they are open to a trade. They understand sort of the covenant that Orlando Brown had with his dad, a former Ravens standout himself, in that he wanted to be a left tackle. He's all about playing left tackle. The Ravens already have Ronnie Stanley under contract, making $19.75 million a year to be the left tackle. The Chargers, the Colts, the Jaguars, the Bears, the Eagles, some of the teams that have had contact with Browns representation. We don't know what the cap is yet. Some of those teams have major quarterback issues to sort through as well. So this is something that will probably take some time to develop. But Jacksonville in particular, they're willing to trade the first pick of the second round, the first pick of the third round. From what I hear, the Ravens would call that a win and move on. Will a team be willing to trade a late first-round pick? That's possible as well, but this is a young man who's been a Pro Bowler at right tackle and left tackle. He wants to be paid, but he's not going to get paid like a Ronnie Stanley was. He doesn't have multiple seasons playing the position at a super high level, so you might be able to get a little bit of a financial break there. And there are no shortage of teams that need to upgrade their offensive line, specifically teams with young franchise quarterbacks like we see with the Chargers and like what the Jags are about to do when they draft Trevor Lawrence first overall.
Two-time Pro Bowler of the Year for the Ravens. Looking at the Broncos secondary here, Justin Simmons, safety, a young safety that can actually make somebody's secondary that much better. But the Broncos hoping to hold on to him. But it looks like they might be heading the tag route again. Is that the case, JLC?
Yep, that's what I'm hearing. The Broncos prepared to put a second tag on him. And, you know, we opened this segment talking about Dak Prescott. I've had a lot of agents and cap guys sort of whisper to me the last few weeks, we may see a year in which players are tagged 2 years in a row, unlike anything we've seen before. Dak Prescott's is a strong possibility. Simmons, I'm told it's going to happen for him. Matt Judon in Baltimore, as much as that would be cumbersome, $20 million against the cap, they're at least discussing that internally. Shaq Barrett is someone who I believe Tampa is prepared to tag a second time in a row. The Giants with Leonard Williams, there's a lot of buzz about that in that organization and outside. So, yeah, it's certainly a trend to monitor as we get a little closer to that franchise tag period, which, again, begins next Thursday.
All right, we'll see how that pans out. Of course, the closer we get to March 9th. Jason, looking forward to tapping in on everything NFL. Appreciate your time, as always, my friend. Don't forget the Pick Six podcast. You can catch the Super Friends, Will Brinson, Ryan Wilson, and John Breach breaking it down per usual. We're still waiting on Ryan to get that Ryan Finley tattoo.
Still waiting.
Backing out. I don't know. That needs to be a topic every single day, but apparently Ryan's like, don't worry about that. Download, subscribe, and give the fellas a listen.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.